Hey, what's going on, everybody? I definitely want to get to this instant reaction to the first scrimmage here tonight. I want to give it a few minutes just to let people jump on board here. And again, just a quick reminder to check out the other live streams I've done with other practices and things like that. So definitely want to just talk about the scrimmage. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and drop in on the comments. Definitely appreciate everybody that dropped in last night with the eighth practice. Plenty to get to from the last couple days, but I definitely just want to get to this scrimmage. Once again, just want to make sure everybody has some time to jump on board. Check out the stats at the top of the screen. You can also check out stats on the InsideTheU homepage, as well as Manny Diaz's reaction to what he saw in the scrimmage tonight. So let's get to it. Once again, just drop in comments. If you have questions about certain players, maybe even comments that you saw, maybe even just checking out these stats up here on the screen that maybe you want to react. So go ahead and do that. Definitely hit the like button and be sure to subscribe. I cannot believe how close we are to 10,000 subscribers. So let's get right to it. We've got a good number of people in here right now. Yes, the exception. I'm glad you're here. Shout out to you. I know there's many more people as well. Let's get right to it. The big news of tonight's scrimmage that stands out to me is D'Eriq King. We've talked about him multiple times. I've talked about him quite a bit, and obviously there's a reason to do that, stepping in as Miami's starting quarterback. But what you saw tonight, it's great to see in the fact that he delivered in his first scrimmage. You know, Miami had 4 spring practices, and they did not have an official scrimmage. And tonight was the first official scrimmage for D'Eriq King. And definitely it was great to see that he threw 4 touchdown passes, 2 to Mike Harley, or I would say Mike Harley had 2 touchdown catches. We don't know exactly if he threw them, but Mike Harley got 2. And then Will Mallory had another big day. That was great to see. He caught a touchdown pass as well. Canes is here. What's going on? Where's Avante? I haven't heard him mentioned. Yeah, we as far as we know, he's out there. The only thing I would say is they're using him at free safety. Blake Baker talked about how much they like his hitting ability, and they're starting him at free safety. The only thing I'd say is maybe why you're not hearing about him is because there's other guys. So as far as we know, he's out there, and we've checked in with UM with that. So also, yes, DJ Ivy, awesome. Great question, Clarissa. Glad you're here. Shout out to you for jumping in on here. I think don't know exactly how DJ looked tonight, but I know they're definitely excited for him and his future in terms of his development from what he did a year ago, and they really like his length, what he's been able to put together moving forward, and they really like him at that cornerback spot. So, fourth TD, who was the fourth TD2? Don't know. All I know is Xavier Restrepo had that 70-yard touchdown run. That's incredible for a freshman. Great to see. And flipping Clarissa on, with cornerbacks, freshman Marcus Clark had an interception tonight, and that's good to see for him. Once again, this is the first scrimmage of the fall. This is the 9th overall preseason practice. I can't believe they're that far into it. So that's what you're seeing tonight. Also, the big news in terms of the offense, not just that D'Eriq King threw 4 touchdown passes, but you saw the freshman running backs do well. Yes, Cameron Harris played. Yes, he had a heavy heart with Aubrey Hill, his former coach, passing away tonight. And completely sad news. He was someone that I enjoyed talking to quite a bit at UM. So just shout out to everybody that's dealing with that and his family. So, but Cam did play tonight. And just talking about the running backs, the freshman running backs did really well. I was able to ask Rhett Lashley about Don Chaney Jr. yesterday after yesterday's practice, and he said he looked really good, physical, running downhill, like those things. Felt like as a freshman he's picking up on plays pretty well, which is great to see. Then, you hear stuff like that, and then Don goes out and delivers with a solid performance tonight in the scrimmage, which was great to see. 11 carries, 57 yards, solid, grabs a touchdown as well, gets there on the inside the end zone. Which is great to see, obviously hugely important for a running back to do. But Jalen Knighton stole the show tonight, goes 10 carries, 126 yards, and a touchdown. It's incredible to see. He's someone that I've been very excited about with this offense, with his ability to run, also mixed into his ability to catch passes out of the backfield. And he's certainly delivered tonight, and it's great to see because, once again, when you're hearing positive things about guys, you definitely want to see him deliver on stages like this. Certainly there's plenty of room to grow, plenty of room to still improve. But when you have a scrimmage, it is this game-like situation, the way they set it up, going, calling plays and being on the field and things like that. And definitely those guys are looking to make their mark. And it's just great to see. I mentioned the freshman, Marcus Clark, but earlier as a defensive player. Corey Flagg had a sack, so that's great to see. Chance Williams, 5 tackles, 2 sacks. But Jalen Knighton had a huge performance. So it's great to see. It's great for the offense because you cannot have enough weapons for the offense, cannot have enough running backs. And I think Jalen certainly cements himself in that picture. He deserves to be in there. And I think, you heard about him as a recruit, very talented guy with good speed, quickness, lateral ability. So you like what he brought to the offense. But again, delivering is such a big thing. And there's room for him in the offense, I believe. Certainly there's other guys there as well, but I think it's great to see. It's great that he's doing well. Once again, backing up some of the things I've been hearing about how he's doing. So here we go. We've got plenty of people in here. A boxing fan is here. Shout out to you. Yes, it's a hype around him real. Yeah, you know what? Duke Johnson, you stumbled me a little bit. Yeah, he's not Duke Johnson. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Duke Johnson was an incredible player. It's definitely exciting to be excited and for an offensive player, not particularly a running back. You look at the running backs on the roster now. Robert Burns didn't have that fanfare. Even Cameron Harris, even though he did got that state championship at Carroll City, he didn't come in with this kind of attention as same with Chaney, Don Chaney Jr., Jalen Knighton, both highly regarded prospects. And I think everyone remembers Jalen, again, nickname Rooster, but just that he was such a highly regarded recruit. You thought maybe Ohio State was in the picture at one point, and just I think a lot of people are glad that he's on campus, and then glad that they're delivering. And he's certainly a different player than Don Chaney, different style of player. I really like, once again, Jalen's lateral ability, his speed, his quickness, ability to catch passes. So it's great to see. Playmaking ability is great to see. Yes, boxing fan, Cam did play. If I slide my slide over here, this background is a picture from the scrimmage, and that's Cam actually carrying the ball. You can check him out there. So Canes is here. Yeah, I want to know how was with one-on-ones. I'm not sure. You guys should know by now. We're doing everything we can to present any type of information, but we're not able to be out there. Everything's kind of on lockdown right now for sure. So we're not able to be out there, and scrimmages typically are closed anyways. But again, it's just the stats that we've been able to get fed to us from UM. You can check them out at the top of the screen. Hopefully I got everything that I know, and we'll go ahead and gather more information for the website on InsideTheU tomorrow, but definitely just want to do this quick instant reaction to the scrimmage and provide as much information as I can and talk about some of the things, not just from tonight, but maybe some of the questions you guys might have about how practice has been going in the past week based on some of our Zoom calls with coaches, coordinators, players, head coach Manny Diaz, things like that. So, man, a lot of people in here. This is great. Shout out to the King. Yeah, I talked about him, Avante. As far as Brevin, as far as we know, he was practicing. Don't know specifically about tonight. He wasn't mentioned in the stats. It wouldn't surprise me if they sat him out. But the only thing I would say is Brevin was very excited about playing all the time. We saw him in practices earlier this week, making catches. And when he talked to us, he said he was essentially good to go. So maybe they are holding him out. And maybe once again, that's why you saw Will Mallory with that nice workload, that 4 catches, 71 yards. So definitely be interested to find out more about that. And as far as we know, that's the only thing we can go by at this point. So boxing fans got King to win the Heisman. I like that you like that. I was unable to do it in the Dynasty. I apologize to everybody. Get that runner-up. Shout out to everybody. Follow the Miami Hurricanes Dynasty series on the channel. I definitely want to keep that going to the 2021 season. It's just on hold right now as we work through this real preseason practices and things like that. But yeah, definitely disappointed. I could not deliver a Heisman for De'Aaron King. I thought I had it in the books and thought it was for sure going to happen. 52 touchdowns, couldn't get it done, but that's okay. Nesta Silvera, yeah, I think that's one. He's another guy that, I know a lot of people are excited about him coming out of high school, and you're kind of waiting. I feel like everybody's kind of waiting, and I don't think there's any question that this is a big year for Nesta. He certainly put in the work in the off season with his training, really put a lot of work into his quickness as well as his weight training, lifting weights and things like that. And now that he's a junior, John Ford is there as a senior, and it's really going to be Nesta's job right there, that starting job that he's been looking for. Everybody's been waiting for him to take that over. He has not started yet in his career. It's looking to do that. The only competition I would say is Jordan Miller. And Jordan has played at Miami, but and has bigger size. He's a bigger guy at defensive tackle, but I think Nesta's going to get that edge, definitely just to get that opportunity. So I think he's definitely looking forward to the season. He's someone that they're excited about. I talked to defensive line coach Todd Stroud about him, curious how he was doing, him and Ford, and he was really impressed with how he came into camp, how he reported, once again, in shape, physically doing well, doing all the things he needed to do as an upperclassman at that position, which is great to hear. Once again, you're hoping for Nesta to turn the corner and really deliver a solid season. And John Ford as well, even though he started last year, the production's got to be better, and he's definitely got to have a big year as well. So that's it with Nesta. Any other questions you guys have, go ahead and drop in the comments. Glad you're here. Hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe. I cannot believe how many subscribers, everybody. All you guys are diehard fans of the Miami Hurricanes. And it's great to see we're here on this channel, just talking about the Canes. Talking about the stats here, I think it's great. I think the Chance Williams stuff is very interesting to me in that he was here in the spring, highly regarded recruit, 4-star prospect in the Jacksonville area, enrolls at Miami early. You're not expecting him to be a high contributor this year, but all of a sudden Greg Rousseau opts out. All of a sudden, the depth chart, you're looking at it, well, they need a 4th defensive end. And the 4th defensive end are guys like Chance Williams. Cam Williams is a guy that redshirted last year. He's a guy that we heard, again, doing well tonight in the scrimmage. I don't have his stats, but we heard he did well. They're impressed with him. And throughout the week, you see that as well. Cam Williams is a guy that people are talking about. And now that Chance Williams has this 5-tackle, 2-sack performance here in the scrimmage, now you're looking at that he's definitely in the mix for that 4th spot for the defensive end. And I know maybe you're hearing that and it sounds down the depth chart, and why does that even matter? Well, 4 defensive ends, that's your 2 deep. And you play a lot of defensive ends the way Miami likes to rotate their defensive ends in. So there's going to be opportunities. Clearly the top 3 guys are pretty much set unless something happens. But that 4th spot's wide open. You're talking about Chance Williams, Cameron Williams, maybe a guy like Quentin Williams, who's a true freshman. None of them are related, but he's in the mix as well. Maybe a little bit step behind those other 2 based on things we're hearing now, with Cam having a good week, Chance having a good scrimmage. And so I think those are 2 of the guys that have that edge that you're looking for as well, because they definitely want to try to keep, Jason Blissett, Jared Harrison-Hunt, try to keep them more in the defensive tackle spot, even though they can slide out. I think they're just kind of more in the defensive tackle mode, and I think they'd like to keep them there, kind of grow them there as well. So there's a battle there at that defensive end spot. So many people to get to. Anthony, shout out to you. You're always here, always showing your support. It's incredible how much support you showed. Don't worry that you're a little late, everybody. I just jumped on this stream. I don't give people much notice. I wasn't actually planning on doing this, but I did one last night. We did it for about an hour. Maybe it'll be shorter this time. I don't know. But the scrimmage comes out. I'm doing the videos. I'm putting together some stat stuff, and I just figured I'd jump on it. And if you guys want to talk about the scrimmage. I know it's late. It's a Sunday night. Many of you might have to work tomorrow. Shout out to you for jumping on even this late or just after midnight here on the East Coast. It's incredible. But once again, all of this stuff, the live streams, the content, the video, the articles, all this stuff that we do on the site, it's all for you guys. I know you're a lot of people, just diehard Miami fans, trying to get as much information as possible. And I know it's a little bit more difficult right now just because we, not being able to be out there like normal, like we're used to doing. So we're just having to talk to people and rely on to pass on information. So once again, so we've got plenty of people. Lamont, shout out to you. Yep, Canes for life. I feel like many of you are Canes for life, no doubt. Rico, what's going on? Shout out to you as well. I mentioned Marcus Clark, a freshman cornerback with an interception tonight, so that's good to see. And, it's a good start for him. Once again, the 4 corners ahead of him. So you go 2 juniors and Al Blades Jr. and DJ Ivey, returning starters. Then you got those sophomores with Christian Williams to Corey Couch. And Blake Baker is excited about what he's seeing with those cornerbacks, and they continue to progress. So that's great to see. Then you've got the 2 freshmen, Marcus Clark, Isaiah Dunson. So you got 6 corners on the roster, and it's split up, junior, sophomore, freshman. And it's going to be an interesting battle to see who kind of emerges. And what I'm interested in seeing with all of these corners, if anybody is going to make a move essentially in that hierarchy. Can a sophomore crack play more than a junior? Can a freshman play more than a sophomore? And I know it sounds basic stuff, but you definitely want young players to come in and players, underclassmen like sophomores, really make a name for themselves and go ahead and pass people on the depth chart. And I think at cornerback, it's more so than ever. You're looking for that. Once again, you got 2 returning starters. They were good at times. They weren't great all the time. They showed progress as the season went on, but certainly you're looking for more. They're not complete players where you definitely where they don't have anything to work on. So can the sophomores make moves there? I'm not sure. Christian Williams did well in the spring. He's a guy with good size. You like that. And Corey Couch, one thing that stands out to me watching him from high school and being at his game, the ability to pick off passes. Obviously not the biggest guy, but it's improving. And corners aren't typically the biggest guys anyways. So as long as he can cover, run, tackle when he needs to, and break up passes, he's going to have a shot. And to me, he's a guy with that ability to break up passes, the ability to intercept passes. And I think he's a guy that certainly could be in that mix. And certainly, even if it is the 2 guys, even if it is the 2 juniors, now you're looking at guys that definitely will be on the field because teams typically play more than 2 receivers at a time. Miami likes to play more corners to match up, which makes sense. Obviously, you can slide guys over. You can slide a striker over to guard another receiver, but typically you'd like to go ahead and get that corner out with better cover skills with what's going on. Lionel, what's going on to you? I'm glad you're here. Shout out to you. Any injuries? As far as we know, not really. I'm not saying it didn't happen, but nothing to report. Hurricane Logan is here. Shout out to you for saying, hey, everyone. That means you're a Hurricane for life also, and that means you're just glad to be here with everybody else. Cody is here as well. Crazy how salty Florida fans have. Yeah, Leonard Taylor's a big deal, Cody. A lot of times in recruiting, you don't win them all, and it's tough. And a guy like Leonard, especially with Florida fans, especially not feeling like the Palmetto guys were locked up to Miami. And, they definitely, if you're talking about the 5, if you want one, if you can only have one, I think many people I talk to that have seen all 5 in person, checked them out, I think Leonard Taylor is the one that you would take out of all 5. And that's not to say, Miami, that's because Miami got him or because Florida got the other. It has nothing to do with that. I really like Jason Marshall. I actually like Corey Collier more than most people do. But Leonard Taylor's the defensive tackle, the athletic defensive tackle you're definitely looking forward to having. He's someone that head coach Mike Manasco feels is going to play on Sundays, has a bright future. And once you get that defensive tackle situation figured out, it really helps their defense. And any of you guys that have been following Miami for a long time, you know how important the defensive tackles have been for the defense. And I don't think it's any question with Leonard Taylor. I understand why people would be disappointed that they're not able to get him. And it's great for Miami to get him. There's a lot to like about Leonard Taylor. So just a little recruiting stuff right there. What else do we got here? So many questions. So many people are here. YRN is here. Shout out to you. Running backs. Yeah, Jalen Knighton went crazy. Had a big day. Not just Jalen Knighton at the running game, but also you saw Don Chaney with a solid 57-yard performance, 5 yards a carry, and then Xavier Restrepo gets a 70-yard touchdown run. So you're looking for just a big day for the offense, which I think is great for the offensive line. There's certainly improvements that need to be made with the offensive line, different units, not just the starting unit, but definitely down, that second, third unit. Those guys definitely want to do well also. And I think it's important for that running game to do well for the offensive line. And not just, I talked earlier about how important it is, how good it is for Jalen and Don to have good performance. And Jalen, obviously, that had the huge day. But just the offensive line, you're hitting, you got the full pads on, you're having success. And typically that has not always happened in practices, in scrimmages with the offensive line at Miami early in preseason camp. It takes them typically a little bit longer, no matter what unit it is, first, second, or third. It just takes the offensive line a little bit of time to get going. And sometimes they don't, because Miami's defensive line has always been pretty strong. So it's or the linebackers combination of being able to hold down the running game. So it's good to see. Good to see there. Buddy, shout out to you as well. Glad you're here. It's awesome you're here. You gave that super chat donation last night. It was great to see. I definitely appreciate you once again for jumping on this live stream. So glad you're here. So Andre's here. as well. He thinks maybe the best running back since Duke. That's definitely interesting. I think it sounds like people are already forgetting about DJ Dallas and his production, but I know what you're getting at. High recruit, local guy, good speed. You're hoping for a guy like that to be able to break out. We'll see how he does, but I'm glad you're excited. I think it's great to be excited about the running backs, because Miami's had great running backs over the years, and hopefully a guy like Jalen Knighton is that guy. Or hopefully maybe Don Chaney is that guy. There's a lot to like there as well. So how did Bubba do? Lakers all day is here. Glad you're here. Shout out to you. How did Bubba do? He didn't show up in the stats, but I will say that they like him. They like what he's been able to do. Not just like him from last year, and but he's been doing well in practices. They like, Blake Baker said that he feels like he's moving around athletically. He's back to where he was, which is great. And I think there's a lot to like with Bubba. Once again, Bubba, it'll be important for him to go ahead and assert himself and to be in that starting duo, assuming that Gervin Hall is that other one. And Gervin Hall, shout out to him as well. He goes 7 tackles tonight. That's good to see from him, because you guys saw earlier in the preseason he had an interception, so that's good that he had an interception in practice. So just kind of building on that is great to see as well. So here we go. Let's go. Andre, I'm not even going to get into those comparisons, but I'm glad you like them. I understand why you're doing that. But yeah, hopefully just anybody in the slot can be productive. Boxing fan, that's a great question about Gervin Hall. Last year, earning the start, getting in there, playing a lot, piled up the tackles. I think he was top 5 on the team. I want to say, I don't have I could look real quick. But anyways, the tackles were there. I think you're just looking for a little bit more production. I think you're looking for a little bit more impact plays, impact the defense, impact the team, and helping win games. It's not that he was poor or below. He's just kind of solid. I think you're looking, like you just mentioned, will he have a breakout year? I think you're looking for more. You need more from that safety position, either more tackles, like I said, more big plays, and a guy that I think you'd like to see him step up in terms of his confidence, kind of be even more so than he was a year ago. And maybe it just takes time. Maybe that sophomore year, you get to start for the first time. You just fill your way out, and now as a junior upperclassman, maybe a returning starter, he goes ahead and has that breakout year. But once again, you're looking for more production, big plays out of Gervin. We'll see what happens, but I think it's definitely a good sign that he's making plays, particularly in the scrimmage. That's great. Flying around, leading the defense in terms of tackles, so that was great. That's what you want if you're looking at guys to have a breakout year. You want to see them be productive when they have opportunities to do so. What else have we got? We got all kinds of stuff to talk about. What else have we talked about? We talked about the wide receivers. Mike Harley, great to see 2 touchdown catches. I asked Mike earlier this week or last week about his connection with De'Aaron King. Felt like it was really good. I assume, just based on the numbers, first team guys, I assume De'Aaron threw that to him. So that's good to see for Mike. And it's also good to see Mike get in the end zone, because if you guys remember his career, I think he went definitely over 20 games, I think, in his career without a touchdown. It was something like that. I kind of started quick keeping track, and then he got some touchdowns last year. And so I know it's not a game situation, or it's not a game, it's not the real thing, but it's just good to see him get in the end zone. It's good to see that that's an area you'd like to see more of with Mike, and you saw it moving up a little bit. You saw him improving in that area last year, and I think that was good. So maybe he's building on that, doing even better with that. So great to see him able to do that. Michael Redding, I think many people want to know more about Michael Redding. He was a guy that was injured in the spring. He was a highly regarded guy at IMG, a freshman. Good size at the position. And then he comes into fall camp. He's hobbled a little bit, not doing as much. Coach Rob Likens just kind of admitted he hadn't seen him much this fall. The other 3 freshmen were playing and doing well in their own right. Daz with the good route running ability. Xavier doing well from the slot, making plays, kind of settling in there. And then Keyshawn Smith on the outside showing his speed, his game-breaking ability that they really like. So those 3 freshmen were getting noticed early on while Michael Redding was dealing with his injury. So it's good to see him out there. And he's been practicing a little bit more lately. But it's good to see him out there making catches. Had 3 catches tonight, so that was good to see from him with the 47 yards. I saw the running backs. I mentioned Chance Williams. Great to see him do well. Kind of just going through the list, make sure I got everyone. Sam Brooks, haven't talked about him tonight. Let's see, what do we got here? Kansas City Cartel. I'm glad you're back on the live stream. I remember you jumping in earlier this preseason. Where was I at the scrimmage? No, it is a huge no-no for us to be out there. So definitely not out there. So definitely just kind of relaying information is what I'm doing right now. Information I've received based on the stats, things Manny Diaz said, and just putting it together. And then also listen to you guys, maybe hearing your guys' reaction on certain things. So yeah, Sam Brooks did well. I want to get to some of these questions real quick. So the truth is here. Shout out to you. Why didn't they play Jalen more? You know, if you look at the stats, many of these guys are younger players, so maybe that's what they did. I think maybe they know what they have in Jalen. I think they're definitely excited. So as far as we know, he's fine. And, you know, definitely heard Manny speak highly of him tonight, so that was great to see. But I don't think that there's anything to worry about right now. And if anything changes, definitely let you know. But it doesn't surprise me all that much. What else do we go? Yep, nothing on Pope. I didn't see him mentioned. Hopefully no injuries, buddy. Yep, I agree. Stephanie's here. Stephanie Victor, yep. Avery Huff. You know, he was a guy that wasn't mentioned. But, yeah, I don't think, you know, he didn't mention in the tackles, you know, as far as that. I was trying to think of the linebackers. Manny rattled off a bunch of linebackers doing well, or just talked about them. He did talk about Wayman Steed, Bradley Jennings Jr. I was able to ask Blake Baker about those two guys coming off a season where they missed all last season with injuries. So curious how they are doing. Blake thought they were doing well, exceeded his expectations, and now Manny tonight was impressed with them. So that's good to see in terms of their health and also their ability to get in there in that top unit. So you mentioned Avery Huff. I know a lot of people are excited about Avery coming there from St. Thomas Aquinas. Sits out last year, has that good speed, that good range you're hoping for. But, you know, just haven't heard a ton about him. Heard about Sam Brooks, and you saw it tonight with the stats. Did well, 5 tackles. It's not, you know, it's just kind of hearing different guys instead of Avery right now, and maybe that'll change. But I definitely felt like early in the preseason that it sounded like Bradley Jennings, based on what was talked about with him, his experience. Again, he's played 16 games. I know it's not a ton, and he hasn't played a lot, but it's the second most amongst the linebackers. So I think he's a guy to watch for, even though everybody's waiting for Avery Huff. I think Sam Brooks is that number 2 linebacker as of now, behind Zach McLeod in terms of the depth chart. So start 2 or 3 linebackers. I think Sam will be given that opportunity based on last season, but also based on that bowl game, leading the team in tackles. I think he showed a lot there. And certainly other guys are looking for those big performances, and other linebackers don't have that yet on their resumes. But Avery Huff is certainly a guy that everyone's excited about. A lot of fans are excited about him, and I understand why. It just might take some time with him. Still getting used to things. So we'll definitely, Stephanie Victor, for anybody that's curious about Avery Huff, definitely will have information on the site as we learn more about that. That's definitely an interesting person that we've not heard about, and I definitely would want to check in with, once again, when Blake Baker talks, you know, just how he's doing. So I know Coach Patke talked about linebackers as well recently. So there has been some buzz about the linebackers. So what else do we got? Yeah, is D'Eriq King a legitimate Heisman candidate? Well, Miami's got to win games. Obviously, I like his ability, but Miami has to win games. That's the biggest thing. If Miami's winning games, it's going to be a lot to do with D'Eriq King, and so the numbers will be there. And so if Miami wins game, he'll stay in that discussion. Because one thing with Heisman stuff that you see is the guys with already some recognition early on in their careers going into a big season, and then if they deliver, basically if there's already some hype, some interest surrounding them, they definitely have a shot. But once again, it's all going to come down to winning games. Miami's going to have to win games, because I do think D'Eriq's going to produce. That's what he's always done at Houston, and I expect him to have a productive season as well. Cody, let's see. With Jeremiah Payton will be the dark horse player on the roster. But the only thing I would say is I think people know about Jeremiah Payton, right? I mean, I think you guys know that he's doing well. You heard wide receivers coach Rob Likens mention that he's got first-round talent. He was Miami's highest rated recruit last year. Now, he only played 4 games, 1 catch, so maybe in that sense, maybe you guys don't know exactly about Jeremiah Payton, but I'm going to go ahead and guess that you guys all do because you're diehard Hurricane fans and most of you pay attention to things like that. So I think that I wouldn't say he's a dark horse, but maybe if you're talking about, going from that number 4 spot, because right now you would say he's 4th in terms of the returning receivers, maybe if he's able to jump the other receivers, maybe he has that potential, and maybe people don't see that quite yet. So maybe in that sense he's a dark horse. But I definitely think a lot of people are excited about Jeremiah, and I understand why. And I do think there is room for 4 wide receivers in this offense, not just in one game, but in one play. I think you can see that the 4 wide receiver look. So I think it'll definitely be, once again, they're playing fast. They want to go up tempo. They want the more plays from a year ago, similar to what they did at SMU. So if they go more plays, and De'Eric has been used to that. I was watching a game of his the other day and just seeing the numbers that they put up in terms of the total number of plays. I think it exceeded 90, which is ridiculous. So he's used to it as well. So it's not, while he's learning the personnel, he doesn't have to make that crazy transition to an offense that he completely knows nothing about. So I think that's going to be good. Yeah, the no mention of Peyton. Man, okay, I cannot... TRIIICS, shout out to you, Tricks. I guess that's what we're going to go with, but shout out to you for being here. Yeah, as far as no mention of Peyton in terms of the stats, but just mention him there. So I don't think there's anything to be worried about. Once again, with all of this stuff in terms of injuries, we have not heard anything. And if that changes, we'll definitely get to that as well. And I think tomorrow we'll be able to get to some of that, just with tonight being such a late night and trying to get information out there. But definitely looking forward to doing that as well. What else? Anthony always here has a website updated the recruiting list for Miami at the quarterback and corner position. Yeah, I would think so. You talked about Marquise Brown the other day, so definitely just keep checking that out. Sam Brooks is definitely someone to watch for. He saw tonight. He did well, so that's good to see. You saw him right there in that picture behind me, making that tackle on Cameron Harris. What else do we... there's so much to get to. I think it's great it was good to see that they're out there scrimmaging. I think it was good to see, they turned that corner. I cannot believe that their 9th practice is already in the books. And so they're just really moving along quite fast, really. So we'll keep this thing moving along here. What else do we got? Stephanie Victor wants to know about John Ford. Mentioned him earlier, and he's a guy that, once again, defensive line coach Todd Stroud was excited about how he came into camp, and things that seem to be doing well for John as well. So, I think that's Boxing Fan 89 with the question about Restrepo as far as going to be a contributor. I think it's interesting with all the freshman contributors. One thing Rob Likens said, he's looking at that 5-6 spots at wide receiver playing. So you mentioned the 4 with Mike Harley, D. Wiggins, Mark Pope, Jeremiah Payton. So there's your 4, and I think there's a definite line at that 4. Then you got this next group of guys, the 4 freshman wide receivers. So, man, okay, buddy, shout out to you with the super chat donation once again. $1 million lunch on you. You know what? Maybe I'll do that tomorrow. I appreciate that. For sure. Might just go simple plain cheeseburger though. But definitely appreciate it. And anyone else that wants to do that, go ahead and hit that super chat. Buddy's definitely 2 days in a row, putting him in that GOAT status. I like that. It's great to see. So, buddy, and once again, if you have any questions, let me know. If anybody else wants to jump on, you can do that as well with that super chat. But just with the freshman wide receivers, I think it's just going to be an interesting mix. But I will say that with Restrepo, his ability in the return game, special teams will give him a look as well. But also just the fact that, he's in that slot spot, and he's a true slot receiver. So that when he has a true role like that, and that's different from the other 3 freshman wide receivers, and essentially those 3 are competing against each other. So if Restrepo's working in that slot, compete with Mike Harley there, you could see him find a role that they do need that backup. They've looked at Mark Pope there as well, but maybe Restrepo just kind of finds himself in that role a little bit easier because they need that to be filled. And if he's really good at his role, really good skill set at that position, maybe you do see him in that mix. I definitely could see him, whereas it's just a little bit more competition, so to speak, with numbers with the other guys. But definitely, if they're only going to play 5 or 6 receivers, so if you look at how it's going to work out with those other 3 receivers fighting for that one spot, maybe, and then maybe Restrepo has that 5th, 6th spot. So maybe you're looking at it like that. I definitely could see that. And it's not necessarily that those, again, it's not that he's necessarily better than those other 3. It's just the roles might be, it lines up a little bit better for him in terms of the depth chart, even though they're essentially all, all considered wide receivers. So there we go. Keyshawn Washington. Omerta's here. I'm glad you're here. Shout out to you. Some of these names, I look at them real quick. I just shoot out a name. I'm probably butchering some of these. I apologize. But I definitely can get Hurricane Logan correct. So I definitely want to make sure I say people's names. HDS Canes is here. And that Keyshawn Washington. I think you mean Keyshawn Smith, the wide receiver. Keyshawn Washington is the safety out of South Dade. He's been here since the spring. And I think that's the one thing, kind of going back to a little bit to with Avante Williams, is just that there's other guys on the roster. And once again, we've checked in with as far as they know. He's been out there. That's what we've been told. So we'll go with that unless anything changes. But as soon as we get pictures sent to us, we will definitely put that up, because I know everyone is excited about Avante coming down from DeLand. Highly regarded recruit. Miami's highest rated recruit in this class. Jeremiah Payton was last year. And I think they got that right. And then right now, James Williams is figuring in that 2021 class. So that's how it's looking right now. So, buddy, you know what? Buddy, there's going to be highlights. I've been told there's going to be highlights dropped. Hopefully, maybe it's already tonight. I don't know if it'll be tonight, but definitely tomorrow. And I'll definitely put those on the channel so you guys can see them. If you haven't checked out already, I put up the interview with Manny Diaz. So check that out. But definitely, as soon as the highlights come in, we'll definitely put that up. I'll definitely get that up as well. So, yeah, what else have we gone? Sigmund's here. Glad you're here. I know, man, I don't know if I already shouted you out earlier in the chat, but definitely I know you were here yesterday, and you've showed up on the live streams before, so definitely glad you're here as well. There we go. Everybody's trying to smell what the U is cooking. Yeah, Cody, you know what? Let's talk about Will Mallory again. And I think that's interesting to talk about, because I was able to, that was my question to tight ends coach Stephen Field this week, was about Will Mallory, his improvement. Touched on it on the stream last night, so I don't want to double up on it. But if you're just jumping on, and I'll make it quick, and I talked about Will before as well, and I think he's a very interesting player with this offense and his role on the team. But it's great to see again tonight with the production, with the opportunity to make plays, and you see it. And one thing that stands out to me, not just with the catches or his production tonight, not that he had it, but what stands out to me is the 4 catches for 71 yards. So what you're looking at is some big plays in there, at least one. You're not looking at 4 for 40, maybe in some of the tight end stuff. And I think if you can remember Brevin Jordan's freshman year, I think he was under 10 yards a catch. So he's in that 9.5 range. And so the fact that Will not only is catching passes, not only racking up yards, but doing it at a very productive rate. And he did that last year when he was able to make plays in those last 3 games, 4 catches each game, led the team in receiving yards. So he goes 12 catches, 203 yards in those games. And again, same kind of thing where the production's there in terms of yards per catch. And I think that's great for a tight end. It's not always there. And again, you see it tonight. And I thought that was great. That's what stands out to me. Not just that he's productive in terms of totals, but just his yards per catch. It shows me that he's got some ability to get downfield, which is great. Very important. It's such a big thing when a tight end can get downfield. I think if you guys have been following and for a while, what stands out to me is maybe that David Njoku playing a scrimmage. I think it was a spring scrimmage where he catches it and runs, essentially it felt like 80 yards. So you definitely don't see that all the time, but definitely good to see a tight end make plays. Getting that 20-yard catch maybe was one of those based on the numbers. So that's good to see. Yeah, Corey Flagg had that sack. He's been doing well. We keep hearing about him. Big thing with Corey. Played for a highly productive high school program. Won a state championship at Houston North Shore. Big high class there in Texas. So that's good to see that he's coming out of that program. And the biggest thing that kind of stands out to me with Corey is just that he's the second heaviest linebacker on the roster already. And I think it's only 228 pounds. I think that's the number, which is a little bit surprising. That's not a little bit heavier with the linebackers. But what it is showing is he's coming in. He put a lot of work into having an off season, dealt with his knee injury a little bit, but he's looking good. So that's good for him. Wow, DJ Hurricane Booking is here, and shout out to you. And man, I'm not going to lie, I think you're crazy for that statement. But no, you know what? I'm glad you're excited. You know, I just think DJ Williams was just such an elite player, an elite prospect. So getting that comparison is crazy. I hope you're right. That would be incredible for Miami's defense. And once again, glad you're here, man. That's great. I'm glad you're excited. And I think Corey is slowly, you're starting to hit that. You're starting to hear that a little bit more with Corey, not just tonight, but you're hearing it a little bit more and more, you know, with Jonathan Patke mentions him. You talk about the defense, just his name is being mentioned here, you know, just starting to come up more. Manny had some good things to say about him early in the preseason. So it's what you want to hear from a freshman. Now, does it mean he's going to jump in and start? Not necessarily, but it just means, you know, he's doing well with the transition. And I think that's great. And once again, coming off that injury, looking to do well. And again, it's not just a one-time performance. You're starting to hear his name a little bit more. Fans like you with DJ Hurricane, you know, just fans like you, just more and more interested in Corey Flagg. And I think that's great to see. One thing what strikes me about Corey, too, is his mentality. He seems to have a good mentality, a good approach to college football, excited to play, those kind of things, likes the game, things like that. A little bit of intangibles there as well. So a lot of people on this chat. Once again, shout out to everybody that's here. Go ahead and hit the like button. It helps spread the word about the channel. It's a huge help. Guys like Buddy that wants people to hit the like button, that always helps as well. Claire said, oh my goodness, Perryman was too slow. That's good. Man, the comparisons are, you guys are going crazy with these comparisons, DJ Williams and now Denzel. Man, I hope you guys are right. I hope there's things that Corey does better than Denzel. That'd be incredible. I thought Denzel was a great player. And certainly, you know, I know you guys always want more out of the players, but I thought Denzel was a very good player, and you're seeing in the NFL doing well there. So hopefully you're right, though. Hopefully you're right. Hopefully these guys are better than some of the players that have played here in the past. Robert, what's going on? Glad you're here. I'm glad you're here for sure. Shout out to you. Running backs that stood out. Got to start with Jalen Knighton. 10 carries, 126 yards, and a touchdown. That's the biggest thing. He impressed the most tonight. Don Chaney, solid. You know, with the 57 yards. You know, 11 carries, 5 yards a carry. That's good. But Jalen Knight with that big playability, you like that. You like to see that. So he definitely shined. Stats are at the top of the page. You can check them out. Put those together really quickly. I think that's why you see a little bit out of order. But once again, I just want to get them up really quick and go live for you guys. But yeah, I talked about Jalen Knight earlier. If anybody's just jumping on now, you can always watch the stream back. I definitely appreciate that. You could hit the like button and all that good stuff as well. You know, HDS, there's a good comparison. That's an interesting comparison. The Jermaine Grace, Avery Huff, definitely, and I think you're saying with just that physique, you know, with the long arms, range, good speed to the outside linebacker. I think that's a good comparison. I like that. And once again, any type of these comparisons, you guys are talking about former players, it's just essentially puts them in a mold, puts them into comparison. Doesn't mean who's better necessarily. But definitely, yeah, you're hoping for a better career. You know, you're definitely hoping for a better career for Avery Huff than Jermaine Grace and any of these guys. You're hoping these guys do better while they're here. So that's great. Dreland is here. What's going on? Yeah, I think the thing about the linebacker that's standing out is there's definitely a lot of competition, and maybe that's a little bit of surprise, maybe in this first 9 practices. So you go Zach McLeod. He's going to start. He's going to be their top linebacker. There's no question about that. And then it's a big mix. So Sam Brooks starts in the bowl game, does well, right? So there's number 2. So there's 2 linebackers, right? But it's not like he has it solidified in the sense that, you know, he doesn't have a huge track record. I think he played in 7 or 8 games last year, mainly on special teams. But when he did play, he did well. But certainly he's got to play well in the preseason to do, you know, to make sure he stays in that top spot. But what's surprising me, there's people that like Avery Huff, and I understand why. Again, speed, range to the outside, has some good size. You like that he can move, right? Coming from a good program in Aquinas, so you like that. But however, I think that it's getting, you're seeing a lot more depth in the sense that a lot more people are in the mix than maybe that you wouldn't have thought. Wayman Steed does well again tonight. Bradley Jennings Jr., those guys are certainly in the mix. They're healthy. Maybe you didn't expect it. Blake Baker admitted they exceeded expectations already. So they're definitely in the mix. Upperclassmen, juniors, they've been around. So they definitely have put themselves in that position. You talked about the other linebackers, not just with Brooks, Avery Huff, Bradley Jennings. Then we got, with Wayman Steed. So those guys, that's kind of in the McLeod. So those are 5. But then you get Corey Flagg in. You keep hearing his name. Then Tyreek Austin Cave. So Austin Cave there. So he's in that mix too. And they're also looking at him at striker. But you're hearing his name a little bit. Ryan Rigoni goes from a walk-on to scholarship player. They've got 9 guys on the roster right now on scholarship at linebacker. And many of them are, again, they're in that battle. They're trying to make moves in there. Trying to earn playing time in that depth chart. And it's not, I don't think I would have expected all of those names to really be surfacing as much as they have. And I think that's good for that position, not just because in the base defense, I'm a big believer, I have been for a long time. I believe linebackers are such a key part on special teams. I like athletic linebackers there as well. Guys that can make tackles. Safeties are nice to have as well. But I really like linebackers that can move and do well. So if they're doing well in practices right now, you definitely, hopefully you see them in roles on special teams, because the thing about linebackers on special teams as well, it's not just on coverage units, punt and kick, but also they can block. They can block on those units as well at different lines. With kickoffs, they could step up on different lines depending where you want to place them. But they have a good mix of contact and speed, getting out and move and things like that. So I just really like linebackers on special teams. So it's good that more guys are stepping up. Yeah, no Mark Pope stats. I apologize for that. We don't have any right now. What else do we got though? Many questions coming in. All kinds of people here. Zupride is here once again. Shout out to you. Glad you stopped in yesterday. Once again today. Glad you're here. Draylon, that's an interesting thing about need someone that knows how to run the defense. And maybe that's what we don't talk about enough in terms of, because we haven't had to talk about it. We haven't mentioned that too often in the last few years with Shaq Quarterman there in the middle. Starter, 4-year starter, essentially ran the defense. You felt like he was in control of the defense for a long time. Even with the coordinator change, even with the head coaching change, you still felt he was running the defense. So that's going to be a big thing with Zach McLeod. Not only is he stepping in with a bigger role for himself and looking to do well for himself, but he's got to step into that leadership role in that spot, in that middle spot, and really essentially be a different player than he's been his first 3 seasons and last year, or 4 seasons, I guess, that he's been at Miami. He just has to be a different player. He has to be more vocal, has to be better, more productive, playing inside, has to be more reliable. He has to play all the time now. A lot is on his plate. So I think that's going to be a big thing with Zach McLeod. Not only does he step in and have to be that play on the field, but like you said, just being that leader, right? Just being that leader. He's got to be that leader on defense. He's got to run the defense, and by all accounts, he should, he knows the defense and things like that, but it's going to be different for him, making sure he tells everyone he is by far the leader of the linebackers, most experienced, and it's not close. But you're looking at other guys as well to step in. I think Jalen Phillips is a leader, to be honest with you. I think he's going to be a guy that plays. He's going to be a guy that everyone rallies around. He just has that personality. I think he embraces that. I think he likes that. I think he's a guy, even though just stepping in right here in his first season at Miami playing, I think he's a guy that strikes me as a guy that can lead the defense as well. Eric Jackson here. Patrick Joyner, that's the one I was missing. I rattled 8 of them off. I missed one, and Patrick Joyner was the 9th that I missed, and you're right. Patrick Joyner's the guy I haven't talked about really all fall. But yeah, he's a good one right there. Shout out to Eric Jackson for being a true Hurricane, a diehard Hurricane. All you guys are true Hurricanes. But I just want to make sure we give Eric Jackson a shout out for that Patrick Joyner reference, for me missing him and you getting him right. Number 52 right there for sure. So out of South Dade, and Patrick's an interesting guy. I think the thing that stands out to me with Joyner is, even though you're looking at different spots, it's tough to envision Joyner playing on an outside at a high rate, because he played a lot of defensive end in high school. He's making that transition. And when he makes that transition to linebacker, he's playing a lot of interior linebacker. It's not that he doesn't play outside, and they'd like to get him some reps there for sure. But he just doesn't have the speed that you're looking for, maybe as some of those other guys. And so I think it's a little bit different in the sense that there's a lot to rotate around and mix up with the outside linebackers with Zach in the middle. And so Patrick kind of falls right in line to that backup middle linebacker spot. But again, Joyner's one of those guys that I mentioned earlier, so important for special teams to do well. And obviously, if anything happens to Zach, and Zach has dealt with injuries, Patrick would be a guy that they're definitely going to look for to step up. So hopefully Joyner's doing well. Once again, he's a guy I haven't heard much about. He's someone that I'm definitely curious about. Him and Avery Huff, that'll be the things I want to focus on this week. I want to get some more insight into those. I know you guys would be interested in hearing about those. So I definitely want to get to those guys as well. Buddy, sharing the stream on the Facebook, man, that's the thing about Buddy. You're great about that kind of stuff, man. I appreciate you just kind of looking out for the channel, looking out for me, making sure everybody's showing their support, and everybody is. It's incredible. It's great. It's incredible that you guys, there's so many people on the channel right now. And the one thing I would say, I know it's late on the East Coast, but I know we got some West Coast people. I know we got people all around the country, people that love the Hurricanes. And I know you guys are here supporting from all over the place. And if we did a roll call from all over the country, it'd be crazy to see the different cities and states that pop in. I know, because it always surprises me. And outside the U.S. as well, there's people all over the place. John Shields is here. Shout out to you. You're tuning in late. Man, we got to so much. I think the one thing I would say, John, is you can watch the stream back. I got to it right from the jump in terms of the running backs, some of the things that with the defensive ends, we talked about them. Really just kind of ran down all the positions. One thing I'll say is you can look at the stats up at the top. Things that stand out to me. Once again, if you're just jumping on, running backs, Jalen Knighton with a huge day. De'Aaron King with a huge day. I don't want to overlook what De'Aaron King did tonight. You're hearing a lot of the good things about De'Aaron. 4 touchdown passes is great to see. Once again, it's backing up the hype that you guys have been hearing. Oh, this guy's great. He's going to step in and change things. Yeah, maybe he's a Heisman guy. He did well at Houston, that kind of stuff. You hear a lot of positive things, but you want to see it. You didn't get to see it in the spring very much because they didn't have the spring game. Only 4 practices. You didn't even see a scrimmage, anything like that. So tonight he backs it up. He plays well. And that was the one thing that stood out to me in the spring with the Eric was, so we get a viewing period of about 20 minutes each practice in the spring. Then they open up a practice, and we got to see the whole thing. We weren't able to do video on that. There's certain limitations when they open things up like that. But we're able to watch the whole practice. And that's what stood out to me. And I've liked what I saw on film about him, getting to know him a little bit. But he backed it up in that practice, that full practice, saw everything. Basically, very productive. Downfield, I think it's a big thing. Maybe if I were to say one thing that's going to be a little bit different with him in the passing game, not only are you hoping for more accuracy, I do think he's going to excel more in the red zone and on third down. I think both of those areas have been struggles. But I will say the deep ball, I think you guys are going to really like his ability. It's not that he has this crazy arm. It's not a Stephen Morris type arm downfield, but he has the ability to attack. He has that mindset. He wants to attack, be creative, throw the ball downfield. And I think that's going to be something that you guys will really like to see. And I think that'll be really good for the offense. It's what you guys have been waiting for a really long time, really. You want Miami to be attacking on offense, utilizing their speed. Everyone loves the turnover chain on offense. You want to see that excitement, that flash, that flare on offense. And I think De'Aaron King brings that, particularly with that deep ball. And I think it's going to be great for the offense. And great tonight that he showed it with those 4 touchdown passes. Once again, look at that. We got that roll call going. That's what I'm talking about. Arthur's here from Ohio. Shout out to you, Arthur. Braden's here as well. Sean, look at that. From Bermuda. Man, that's what I'm talking about. People from all over. Rich is here from Arizona. Shout out to you, Rich. Braden's here. Yeah, that running back too. I think that's an interesting one. If I were to pick one, I'd take Jalen. I want to make that clear. And it's not just about tonight. I really like what Jalen brings for an offense. Because I really like that his ability that he can do different things. I really like that speed and quickness ability. And there's things with Don, I know and many of you guys would go the other way. You guys would go with Don, and that's fine. A lot of people like him. I think he was rated higher. Like, I understand there's a lot to like about Don as well. He's great in the weight room. Great understanding. You hear good things about runs downhill. I like downhill runners. If I were to pick one, I would go with Jalen, and we'll see how it plays out. This is a good step for Jalen. He goes ahead and outperforms Don tonight, and we'll see how it goes the rest of the fall. Or maybe Robert Burns has something to say about this. Robert Burns has been overlooked. About 20 carries last year. A lot of it, not, either in games that are out of hand, that kind of thing. But he's definitely, stepping into that junior year, looking to get his name in the mix. So those got the 4 running backs. Those 2, Robert Burns and then Cameron Harris. That's the 4 that they have. Not a big backfield, but certainly all 4 of them looking to do well. And obviously, hopefully everyone stays healthy. Kane Life is here from Atlanta. Man, that's awesome. Love Atlanta. Fat Matt's huge fan. Not going to lie. Got to check that place out. But Kane Life, I know you probably already know about it. This isn't a hidden gem. I'm not dropping a hidden gem here. Buddy from Palm Beach County. There we go. Mile marker, probably like 100, somewhere in there. 100, 110, something like that. Glad you're here. Yep. Andrew's here from Montreal, California. Actually, I bet that's Canada. You know what? It's definitely, you could have done I know where Montreal is. It's just the fact that you did the CA abbreviation. So there could be I know where Montreal is. Maybe you guys are going to clown me for it. But yeah, glad you're here, man. I assume you're Canadian. That's great. And Sammy's here from the North Pole. Shout out to the North Pole. I did not expect that response. That's great. Got people from all over the place. And the DR's here. I like that as well. Man, all these places, man, I'm not going to lie. Like, it's a little tough not being able to travel with everything going on. Andrew, yeah, I know Canada, man. Like, you're the one that dropped that CA in there. So I was like, well, maybe there's a Montreal, Canada. But anyways, California. But yeah, man, that's great. I assume you're a big Habs fan, so that's great. Sarasota, yeah, everybody out of Chicago. Man, yeah, everybody from all over. Hopefully everybody's staying safe and doing well. So what else do we got? I think we got to a lot of stuff. I think we talked about the offensive line the other night. I think the defensive line, I think that's good to see once again. Hearing good things about Jalen Phillips, even though he only got the 1 quarter of action tonight. There we go. Okay, Lauderhill, there you go. Making some moves there from down here to New Jersey to Canada. So good. Hopefully things are going well. Making different stops along the way. Broward County's here. That 954. Man, you talk about comparisons. HJS with I know you're excited, but man, Dalvin Cook, man, he was the real deal. I don't think he's that. I know what you're saying. Maybe he's that version in terms of making plays like that. But man, Dalvin's that elite type player. I think there's a lot to Jalen's going to have to prove. And the thing is, Jalen didn't have that type of high school career either. Certain things you like with his skills, but Dalvin was pretty elite as soon as he was a sophomore. Big year out of Miami Central then, and just continued as that elite player. I definitely thought he was going to be big time. I remember those guys coming out with Joe Yerby and Sony Michel, and to me, I always liked Dalvin the most out of the 3. And yeah, I think, and obviously Sony was certainly productive as well. But yeah, I hope you're right. Hopefully Jalen definitely, the thing about guys when they're freshmen or in high school, they've got to get better. I mean, that's the big thing. They're not the same players that they are when they leave college typically. You've got to get better. And I think that's the thing. You've got skill sets you like from high school. You like that, certain things, certain traits, but you've got to get better. And I think that's the biggest thing. And you guys see it all the time. It happens all the time. Either prospects that were highly regarded recruits, doesn't work out, or guys that become high draft picks in the NFL from different, that weren't highly regarded prospects as well. The key for them always is getting better. So that's the biggest thing. Braden, what's going on? Yeah, as far as QB2, nothing tonight as far as QB2 tonight. And the big thing that offensive coordinator Rhett Lashley said yesterday was just that they're neck and neck and, equal essentially with the 2 of them. So they're still in the battle. I certainly would think that Nikosi's got the edge based on playing time over their careers, but maybe Tate's going to make a move here at that number 2 spot, and we'll see what happens. Yep, Richard. Yep, that's definitely what you're looking for with Jalen. And hopefully a lot of these guys. Harold is here as well. Glad you're here. Shout out to you. Yeah. Carlissa, definitely get faster and stronger at the college level. Definitely with that. And just, the maturity, even mentally, that mental maturity as you get a little bit older and understanding. And yeah, that faster, stronger, all that kind of stuff is important as well. But definitely it's all about getting better. As far as the wide receivers go, Mike Harley, 2 touchdowns tonight. Great to see. Xavier Restrepo, a couple big catches. And they had that 70-yard touchdown run. So good to see from that second unit there. Michael Redding with 3 catches. Good to see as well from him. He's been out a little bit, hobbled in the fall. So good to see that he's doing well. But that's the big one, with Mike Harley with the 2 touchdowns as far as the wide receivers go. Once again, if anything else pops up, definitely check out the site on Monday. Definitely tomorrow, we're definitely going to have as much information in addition to what's been going on tonight here with all the reaction, the stats, and some of the things you've been hearing. So definitely, this isn't going to be the end of it. Definitely want to get more out there. But man, there's so many people. It's incredible how much support you guys have in the team, and I've seen that for years. I always tell people there's plenty of support for the Hurricanes. Believe it. I know a lot of people want to try to knock Miami fans, and get out of here with that mess, because I know I'm seeing it. I see it all the time. I've been seeing it for years. Braden, what about TVD? I don't know, man. We'll see with him. If Tyler Van Dyke is going to make that move, I don't think he's going to pass those other guys with Nkosi and Tate, but he's just a guy that needs to develop this year. It's very important for him to learn the offense, understand this offense, and essentially be ready to compete, when it is his time to be in that mix. Donnie's here. Shout out to you, Donnie. Glad you're here. Appreciate you once again dropping in on that super chat last night. Appreciate that. Was the media allowed to watch closed scrimmage? It was a closed scrimmage. We were not allowed to be out there. Just trying to provide information, trying to relay some of the stuff that I saw in terms of the stats, some of the stuff you guys already saw, but also just kind of taking that and combining that with some of the stuff that the coach has been saying this past week. And yeah, so basically big things, a lot of good things in terms of guys stepping up. Will Mallory with a good night. Thought that was good for him. Touched on De'Aaron King once again. But the big news, I think, to me, if I were to pick one person, and I know it's hard to shake what De'Aaron King did, and I hate to do that. I hate to veer off, and I don't want to diminish 4 touchdowns because it's great. But I think what Jalen Knighton did tonight, I think that's what has everybody as excited. A guy like that stepping in, having a big performance. I think he's the biggest gainer tonight in terms of just making an impact on the depth chart, maybe moving up, maybe showing that he deserves more. Maybe he can step into that starting role. I'm sure that's what he's looking at. Cam Harris was a nice player last year, but it's not like he's just solidified everything. So maybe Jalen's coming in, looks like he wants to be the starter. That kind of thing. I don't think you can just automatically assume he's just going to be this backup because a guy ahead of us to return him. He wasn't a starter last year. Cam stepped in, and Cam looks to be that guy. Definitely expect him to be. But, it's going to be important for Jalen to have these type of performances. If you keep stacking things up, you can't ignore it. So I think that's a big thing. Sports Shy, I think that's a big thing with the O-line. I think without a question they had a good night in terms of the running game. Multiple guys with the runs. I think that's good to see. Sigma, did you think we need to run a 4-3 with the linebackers we got? I always like the 4-3. That's just my personal preference. That's just the defense I prefer. I would just kind of more standard basic defense, but I understand that they love the striker. And the thing about the striker position that they like with that, essentially that third linebacker you're taking, so you're only going with 2. But the reason why they like that third, and then typically with that striker position, is because they like them to guard the receivers. They like to be able to, especially if you're going against a high-tempo offense, you're not able to make those substitutions. So you get a guy in, particularly they've been having guys kind of in that safety mold. They've tried a little bit of the linebacker, that strong side / striker mold. Zach McLeod was kind of filling it before at one time, but I think they just like that striker position. And I think the big thing, if they're going to switch to a true 4-3 with 3 linebackers, I think it's going to depend on having quality linebackers where you have to have them on the field. Because to me, the striker position is always going to be essentially what we talk about with Will Mallory. If Will Mallory goes in and you play 2 tight ends at the same time, that means a wide receiver is typically coming out, just based on numbers. So maybe you go 3 wide receivers, 2 tight ends. But the big key will be Will Mallory Is he good enough to stay on the field to take a wide receiver out? Same way with the third linebacker. If they go to a 4-3, it's got to be that third linebacker is better than that striker and able to do things where you just can't leave them off the field. I wouldn't say they're there yet, but we'll see if the linebackers still continue to grow and get better. Jam is here. What's going on to you? Shout out to you. Anyone else jacked as I am for the season? I hope so. I hope you guys are. And I think we see it on the site that you guys are jacked up for the site or for the season. I think just based on all the numbers that we're seeing, everyone's hitting that like button on the channel. Everybody's checking out the articles, trying to find out as much information on the team that you can get. Just like it is every year, everyone is excited about newcomers. De'Aaron King, Jalen Phillips, Quincy Roche. You love those newcomers, those transfers. Jose Borregales. Robert asked about special teams. And just hearing Jose's been doing well. Don't know specifically about tonight, but just hearing he's doing well, and I don't think there's anything to worry about with the kicking game. So you're excited about the newcomers, the freshmen. It's great to see a guy like Jalen Knighton step up because there wasn't a lot of buzz with the freshmen in terms of making a true impact, maybe this season, just because there's other guys there around. Jared Williams is another transfer. I know you guys are excited about offensive tackle. But the freshmen, while you like them, you just don't see a path for them to jump ahead on the depth chart. Except for tonight when Jalen Knighton has a huge game, a huge performance. So maybe he's starting to get some buzz there. Same way on defense, really. If you think about the freshman, Avante Williams, you guys are excited about him, but we haven't been hearing his name. So where is he? Where is he going to fit in? You're looking at where certain guys are. So when guys pop open, you definitely get excited about them, those freshmen doing well. But I know everybody's excited. Yeah, that 4 touchdowns. Last time 4 touchdowns in a scrimmage, not sure. It does feel like it's been a little bit. I know what you're saying, and I think the thing is, just from that quarterback standpoint, Miami's not seen a quarterback like De'Aaron King in a while. So for him to throw 4 touchdowns in a scrimmage, it's not surprising because he's that type of guy. Boone Soon is here. What's going on? How did Harris look? As far as Cam, I'm not sure in terms of his overall production, but he was not listed in the stats. But he did perform. He did play tonight. What else do we got? Okay, Buddy's got the several bags of shrimp cocktail in the freezer. He is ready to go. I think everybody is going to be doing everything they can to watch these games, break out all the good food, all that good stuff. I know it's not the tailgate you guys are going to be used to, but you're definitely going to make the most of it. Let's see, Carlissa. Okay, we have a buzz about this team. Our team is going to be something to deal with in a year or two. Scary. I think this is the big thing. Man, Donnie on the super chat once again, doubling up from last night. 2 days in a row. He's got that 2-day streak going. Donnie and Buddy both dropping in. But Donnie, appreciate it, man. And yeah, definitely go Canes. I know what you're saying in terms of your excitement as well. If you got a question, make sure you ask it. Anybody else that wants to drop in on the super chat, feel free to do so. You can hit that donation button. That's that $sign right before underneath the chat. If you guys don't know how that works, basically you could do that and it shows up like Donnie and Buddy did it earlier, and we can keep this thing going because I don't want to stop. I know we're over an hour. I know this is late. I'm looking right now. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. I don't know if we're going to get to close to 2 like we did the other night, but yeah, this is definitely good. So yeah, Boonsoon, yeah, tough news with Aubrey Hill. Touched on that earlier, man. That's definitely tough to hear. He was someone I always enjoyed talking to, not just while he was at but the high school level, seeing him out and about, and it's definitely just tough news, man. I reached out to some people that were really close to him just to send my condolences. So that's tough. I know it's tough to go from exciting to stuff like that with Aubrey Hill. But man, it's just tough to see. And it was good in the community. Came back, coached Carroll City that state championship in 2016 with Cameron Harris. And yeah, Cam did play tonight. Doesn't look like he played a lot, but he definitely did perform tonight. So definitely tough, and there's no way to transition off that, but let's keep this thing going. Any more questions? So we got Sigmund. Yep, definitely wants to talk about Cam. Definitely want to talk about the running game. You know, whenever we talk about the running game, if you guys have followed the live streams in the past, I always say that I've got something I'm working on with the running backs and the running game. I'm definitely going to keep that thing going. I definitely have something in the works. So just want to kind of give you guys just a little bit of an update there in case you guys are always curious about hearing me say it. Just like I've got another simulation in the works, working on some high school ones that I'm excited about as well. Shout out to everybody that's watched those. Those high school simulations are a lot of fun to put together and build and get the rosters right, and the players love it. And, putting together, building the jerseys, making all the uniforms. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, I was talking to, anyways, what do we got here? Jam, I think you're right with that 4-3, and maybe that's why I like it, but also that's just my preference. The 3-4, it's certainly been effective at different levels, particularly in the NFL. You're seeing that quite a bit, and you understand why it's there. You got to have that defensive tackle, those big defensive ends, and then enough linebackers to put on the field to be productive. But I like that 4-3. It's just my preference. I'm sure you guys do too. Donnie, as far as the kicking game stats, man, I don't have anything for you. I apologize. If anything, I'll check in tomorrow, and hopefully you can find out if there's anything there from the kicking game, because I know people are excited about it. Buddy jumped in there as well on the field goals. Everybody wants that field goal thing to be corrected from last year. That hurt so many people. It was devastating. Some of those close games, and who knows how things would have been different if they got those early wins in terms of momentum. Certainly, there was a lot of things that didn't go right last year, but maybe things would have gone a little bit better. And we've seen that at Miami in recent years. Just with that momentum, it's just tough. They dig themselves a hole, and it's hard for them. It's just what we've seen over the recent years. But hopefully things are different now. I don't want to talk too much about last year. Guys, you don't either. 2019 was tough. It was one of the roughest years you guys have probably had as a fan. Maybe the roughest the way it ended, so let's just not talk about it a ton. I know everybody's excited about this year, and I think it just shows how much excitement there is in terms of right now. Look how many people are on right now. How many Miami fans are just jumping on this stream because you want to talk about the Hurricanes. You want to talk about what's going on. You want to know about the starters. Are these guys going to make... Are they going to be those guys you guys have seen before? Denzel Perryman, will there be a linebacker better than him? You want to see that. And Denzel's not the best linebacker that ever played at Miami, but one of the best recent ones. And hopefully one of these guys really steps up. That's what you want. That's what Miami needs. They definitely need those high-level guys to help them compete for an ACC championship. That's what you see in recruiting. I touched on Leonard Taylor earlier. Guys like that are difference makers that help you get closer to winning that. 5 freshmen who stood out. Omerta. Okay, so if we want to talk about the 5 freshmen, got to go Jalen Knight, and I'll throw John Chaney in there as well. I'll give Marcus Clark a shout out for getting that interception. There's 3 right there. I like what Xavier Restrepo did. Over 120 yards, 70-yard touchdown run. You got to like that. So there's 4 right there if we're just throwing out names really quick. I like that Corey Flagg keeps his name in the conversation. I like that he keeps his name in the conversation multiple days of practice. Okay, his name pops. I like hearing that. I like that his name pops open. I'm going to go Chance Williams. There's my 5 right there. Chance Williams goes 5 tackles, 2 sacks. Really looking to be that number 4 defensive end. Cameron Williams was a guy that we're hearing more of for that spot, but now Chance Williams has that performance, and now I'd put him in that mix for the top 5 freshmen for tonight. Those are my 5. And that's leaving out some guys. I know Michael Redding had a few catches. Good to see. But I think that those are the 5. And I think it's just good to see multiple freshmen. And that's certainly the stats. That's certainly the stats we got tonight was freshmen stepping up. It creates some excitement for you guys in terms of maybe these guys will step up. And because, once again, they weren't projected to be the freshmen automatically in these high roles. Just because there's so many returners, key players back, it's definitely hard to see how a true freshman is going to crack that either starting lineup or even just that really big role. And I think that's the thing about Jalen Knight. And you saw tonight that, yes, there is a path. There is a path for him to be in that running game if this continues. And it's definitely a good sign to see. Man, I cannot believe that Montreal, Canada thing. Hopefully you guys aren't going to give me that big of a hard time. I know where Montreal is. I still can't get over that. Andrew dropping in that CA thing though. But yeah, just I'm over it. It happens. The thing about, I'm not going to lie, when I read these questions and Mason's here, I do not know what's going on with Mason. Mason, what's going on with that your avatar there, your logo? But anyways, you think Miami's going to beat UNC? I think UNC is really good, and they have a chance to be really good with Sam Howell. So I definitely think Miami can win that game. I understand why UNC is getting the talk and why there's a lot of interest there. What else do we got here? Okay, Carlos is not worried about the Tar Heels either. Maybe nobody's worried about the Tar Heels. I just think that, it's that when they've got that quarterback and they've got a lot of guys back, the wide receivers are impressive as well. I think that's going to be a fun game. I think that's going to be an important game, without question. Although it is a little bit different now that I think about it without the Coastal Division. Again, it's just ACC. Just a reminder, it's just one full division. It's not broken up into two divisions this year. Just one full slate with Notre Dame jumping in there. Top two teams would make it to the ACC championship game is the way it's planned out. What else do we got? I hope Donnie. I hope so. I hope Jalen's considered on kickoffs and punt returns. I think it'd be a good spot for him, either one of those or both. I think that'd be good, and I think I think that's going to be something that I'd like to see Miami look for in recruits, is to find those guys that can fill those roles as really good returners, not just guys that come in and we'll see who can work it out or just kind of put it together each year. I'd like for them to go after, maybe identify a really good returner. You're not going to find Devin Hester walking around all the time, but just a guy that really can handle that role and that that he has a chance for big plays there. I think you should look for that, even if they're not, maybe it's a wide receiver, but maybe he's not a complete wide receiver the way you're looking at. But if he's like a really good returner, I'd like to see them really go after guys like that fill those roles. I think it's such an important thing. I'd rather that way rather than just like, okay, well, let's just throw somebody back there who's okay at it. I think a guy like Jalen Knight could be very good at it. I think Xavier Restrepo at the punt return game, I could see him fitting in there, being that solid guy. But you're still looking for more than solid, to be honest, at Miami. Mason, you think that's the best logo in the nation? Nah, shout out to you, man. I'm glad you're here. And you do jump on these chats. I do appreciate that. Definitely appreciate it. So, Ronald, what else do we got? Like to see better against the run. That's the flip side with these scrimmages, right? Okay, De'Aaron King's thrown 4 passing touchdowns. Why is that? What's the secondary doing? You see the running game going off. 2 guys go for over 200, close to 200 yards. Or Restrepo gets a big long run there. What's going on with the defense? And I think that's the thing that you're seeing. That makes sure, we're staying all positive with the numbers and the stats, but yes, there's that flip side. What is going on, particularly with the defense? Or maybe you're looking at, okay, Corey Flagg gets a sack, Williams gets a couple sacks. What's going on with the offensive line? Are they giving up too many sacks? So, but we'll talk about that, Ronald. Better against the run. It definitely needs to be better against the run. Doesn't matter what defensive tackles or defensive linemen are in there. They need to stop the run. Certainly from a defensive standpoint, allowing a freshman to go for 120 is unacceptable. I'd like to find out, not just with the defensive line, defensive tackles, how they handle the run, but those linebackers we've been mentioning. Is there an issue with the linebackers? Are they not in the right spots? Are they not filling gaps the way they need to? That can certainly be a concern. So I'm with you. The defensive tackles definitely need to step up. I touched on that earlier. John Ford comes back as a starter, but he's got to be more productive than he was a year ago. He's got to be better in his senior year. Nesta hasn't started yet. He's got to be better than he's shown in his first 2 seasons. These guys have to step up. They've got to be better, even though they are going to step into lead roles. They've got to be good in those roles. And I think particularly if you want to look at the defensive ends, they're going to be good. So you need the defensive tackles to be solid. You cannot allow offensive linemen or offenses to really gear against stopping the rush from either side because the defensive tackles aren't doing enough. You would hate for a guy like Quincy Roche to come in that's been very productive. A guy like Jalen Phillips who's very talented and has been productive and doing well. You'd hate for them to not be productive in games because your defensive tackles aren't doing what they need to do. So it's very important. I'm with you, Ronald. I think you're right. Defensive tackles definitely need to step up. Linebackers definitely need to step up too. A bunch of names are in the mix right now. Zach McLeod's still, not only he needs to take that lead and be that true number one, that true linebacker, where it's not necessarily by default. He needs to be very good. And what I sense from him in the spring, he knows that this is a sense of urgency for him season. He's not going to get drafted based on things he's done in his first 3 years. He needs to have one of those big years, and he has the opportunity to do so. What else do we got? Yeah, the Travis Benjamin comparison. Yeah, somebody like that at the returning spot. GM, that's a good one. That's the thing about this team. That's the thing about with a lot of this stuff. GM, you're talking about Amari Carter. What's his role going to be on the team? Yes, he can hit. Do you see him moving to the striker position? I've always felt like he should have. He should. I'd like to see him at that striker spot. I don't know. I know they're being very reluctant on it. I would have wanted to do that in the spring. You see Bubba coming back. You like Gervin Hall. So there's your two safeties. Where's Amari Carter? Is Amari Carter one of your best two safeties? I think he'd be good at that striker spot. And one of the things that you don't want to see happen is, and yes, better late than never, but if they move him here now, it's like, well, what took so long? And I don't know if they will or not. I would assume that they're not going to at this time. They like Gilbert Frierson. They like Keontra Smith. But I just feel like if you're talking about getting your best 11 on the field, I would try to get Amari in there in that. But I like this, the more speed that Bubba and Gervin have in the back. And Amari's a senior as well. And what I was saying earlier about this team is we talk about so many people. Third stringers, fourth stringers, starters, freshmen, returners, guys to watch for, both sides of the ball, backup kickers. You want to talk about Camden Price? We'll talk about backup kickers. But just there's a lot to talk about. But then all of a sudden there's guys like Amari Carter. Yeah, we haven't talked about him. Touched on it earlier. Avery Huff. Yeah, we've not talked about him. I have not talked about him nearly enough. Because there's multiple guys that's what happens. You don't get to everybody. And Amari Carter is one of those guys, to me, is very interesting because I know the coaches really like him. And I know the fans are a little bit hesitant on him. There were some things last year that you wish he'd done a little bit better. Thing about Amari, strikes me as a really good guy, really cares about the program, really thoughtful, those kind of things. He just really in tune, works hard, those kind of things. And like you said, he can lay the wood. He comes up with big hits. And I know he's had some of those targeting calls, but he's had big hits. He does have that in him. And I think he would be suited best to play that striker position. And we'll see what happens. It's just one thing to monitor. But once again, I would have started getting him in that mode well before now, to be honest with you. And we'll see. Maybe they won't once again. And if they don't, you definitely could see how it could be maybe even a little bit more difficult for Bubba to get on the field. Although Carter started to lose some time to Robert Knowles last year. And obviously I think Bubba's better than Robert Knowles. So maybe he is able to pass Amari, but I'm just saying it because I just know that the staff, I know Ephraim Banda really likes what Amari brings to the table. They want him out there. Harold, that's a good question. Did the offense seem comfortable with Rhett Lashley? I think that's the big thing I would say is, I mentioned earlier with De'Aaron King, it's not a new offense for him per se. It's a little bit different tweaks here and there. But I think with him, with the quarterback position, if he's adjusting fast in terms of tempo, like you said, with the motions, picking up blocks, tight end play, etc., things like that you're talking about, I think it starts with the quarterback. If the quarterback's having a hard time adjusting with the offense, then it looks like a disaster. I don't think you're going to see that. And I think essentially everyone else can learn the routes, learn the plays, make the adjustments, play fast. I think, to me, a question is, what I'm curious about, and I want to get to this week. In the spring, we heard about the defense. Blake Baker talked about with the defense seemed to have a hard time adjusting to the speed of Miami's offense. And I'm curious how that has gone now, because the one thing Blake mentioned was it's going to get us better prepared for the season because other teams run this kind of offense. So he touched on particularly the Florida State. You mentioned Florida State, how big that game is. Yes, they're going to come in with some tempo too. So I'm very curious how the defense has been reacting because it didn't go particularly well in the spring, just making that adjustment. So I'm curious how things have been going now, 9 days in. Once again, I want to check that out this week. So, buddy, glad you're here, man. Log out, but I know you're excited about everything. Catch you next stream. Yeah, I definitely want to do this. Appreciate you. You have a good week. Stay safe. Hopefully you and your family stay safe. So appreciate you, buddy. Definitely thanks again, once again, for that super chat, man. That donation's super helpful. Much appreciated. I think GM's got it right with Amari. You put him at striker, viper, laser, taser, whatever. Just get him on the field. I know what you're saying. And like I said, I think he's got that leadership quality. He understands the defense. Like I said, he's got that good he just seems like a good guy. Those kind of things, like guys, good teammate, those kind of things. He's a guy that you'd like to have on the field as much as possible. I just think, yeah, without question, I think Bubba's just a better player, and I would go with that. And if he's not, if you see it out there and he's not performing, then definitely you change things up if you have to. So there we go. Lionel. Yeah, everybody's talking about that. And we talked about Gervin Hall as well earlier. A lot of things we are discussing. But I think we're getting through so many different things. And I do want to wrap this up soon. When I jumped on earlier, I want to do this real quick and just touch on the stats, put the stats up so you could see it, and kind of talk about some things. And I'm thinking, well, I'll just go on for 20 minutes, maybe 30. I'll try to cut it back a little bit. But here we are. We're almost an hour and a half into it, and you guys couldn't be showing your support any more than you already have. This is incredible. It's hard for me to just set this down. Definitely did not expect this. Zoo Pride, many of you are asking about the kicking game. I like that you're interested. I wish I had the answers. I'll find that out this week. Yep, and Braden's got it. Braden's been jumping on this chat all night long. It's great to see. Yep, stats look good. Led the team in tackles, Gervin did. Donnie, yeah, from Miami, the 89 grad. There we go. Professor, man, that is some diehard Hurricane stuff. Donnie, going way back on it. Used to play golf with Ken Dorsey. That's great to see. Yeah, Henry, that's what was in the stats. 70-yard touchdown run. I want to get some more details on that. It's definitely interesting that he reeled that off. Definitely good to see for the freshman. Not known for that, I would say. So that's good to see from him. So I think that's I think we'll leave it at that. Henry, on that 70-yard touchdown run, I think that's a good way to wrap this thing up. Once again, I appreciate everybody. The support has been incredible. Braden jumping in. Right before we wrap this up, Braden, and I was just going to mention Donnie and Buddy on the super chat. Want to appreciate the donations. Braden drops it in real quick right before the buzzer. Before we wrap this up. You know what? Let's go 1:30. Let's make this 1:30. I can talk for the next couple minutes here. But Braden, once again, man, I thank you for that donation. I appreciate it. Glad you're here. You definitely helped out the stream with all of your comments on the chat. And so many of you guys are just keeping that chat going. And I know many people that aren't able to be here tonight like seeing what you guys have to say in the chat. Not just what I'm rattling about or talking about or talking about what the coaches and players said, but they like reading their chat. So I definitely appreciate everyone that's jumping in and helping out make this stream even better for other Miami fans. I think that's great. And me personally, I love seeing what you guys have to say. I like seeing what you guys have to say more than I like talking about what I have to say. So it's great. And Stedman's here. That's great, man. Shout out to you. Yeah, rotating the safety. I think it's a very interesting position. And definitely we're going to wrap this up. We only got 1:30, so we'll wrap it up quick. But yeah, Amari Carter, Bubba Bolden, that dynamic. Gervin Hall, will he have that breakout year? Those are the three interesting players. How's that all going to work out? Then you have Avante Williams, a highly regarded freshman recruit. How's he fitting in? What's he doing? Is he doing well? I think that's a big thing too. Safety position is very interesting to me. Right now at Miami, just with those guys, it's Keyshawn Washington. How's he fitting in? With the full year, getting healthy, things like that, since he enrolled. So Lionel's here, working late with Neo. Hey, shout out to Neo. Tell him I said what's going on. Always appreciate you guys here and people that are working right now. That I kind of jumped on earlier. Maybe people are getting ready for the work week, but man, I know people work late, and I definitely appreciate you guys stopping in here. Jam needs to buy some milk. There we go. We got all kinds of stuff going on in the stream, so that's great. Clarissa, I appreciate you. Definitely appreciate everybody. I'm glad you appreciate this, that you think this is good content. Just trying to relay some information from the team as much as possible. Check out the highlights on the channel. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't yet. You don't want to miss out on that. And these live streams just pop up out of nowhere. So if you subscribe, it definitely, or the alerts, that definitely helps as well, so you don't miss anything. And yeah, Jalen Harrell. Yep, talking about the other young safety, Jalen Harrell, and with Brian there, all kinds of stuff going on. So that's great. Yeah, we're gonna wrap this up. All kinds of good stuff. Appreciate everybody. Zoo Pride. Oh, you took back the question, talk about the offense, but that's okay. Hopefully the offense builds on it. Everyone's doing well. Definitely check out the site, InsideTheU.com. Definitely appreciate everybody. Once again, thanks, Braden, for dropping in on that super chat right before we wrap this thing up. Hour and a half strong, 90 minutes. Crazy. Did not expect it, but I'm never surprised by the amount of support you guys showed and in the Miami Hurricanes, and definitely just appreciate everybody supporting the channel, especially at a time like this when everything has been so crazy. So definitely everybody, once again, be safe. Families, do all the right stuff this week. Have a good week. And I want to do a stream once again soon. It does definitely appreciate everybody. Thank you again, and have a good night.